What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakney, aka Brandon Lee TV, back at it again, my friends, with another edition of the Dukes of the Gridiron Podcast, powered by the Believe Network. Shout out our guys. Today, I have returning 2 Sundays in a row, my guy, Adam Chalifoux, Fargo Fox. Bro, you gotta hit it for him one time, bro. You gotta hit it for him one time. Let me see the move. Let me
Oh,
see
the little
the
move?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
got
move.
you got it.
Yeah, that's the move.
Let's go.
I'm gonna make a TikTok just for dance moves.
That's the signature right there, man.
That's copyrighted. If you use that, you'll get run over by a bison immediately.
And then like the remains eaten by a pack of foxes, bro. If they even run
Yeah,
in packs.
yeah, it's just a weird copyright law that I got handled that way. So don't do it.
I love it. The one and only, man. Appreciate you hopping back on. I know we both just got done watching that game. The Baltimore Ravens taking the L at home. It felt like they were the team of destiny this season. Nothing was stopping them. And then they ran into the bad man, Pat Mahomes. It's not a good day for you when number 15 shows up at your stadium, typically.
You know, I feel like, just like you said, though, nothing did stop them except themselves. Like, my biggest takeaway from that game, and it makes me sad to say, because like I don't have any serious rooting interest in that game, but I was pulling for Baltimore just because they're a fun team, and I'd like to see Lamar get a shot at a NFL championship. Obviously, is see him get his first Super Bowl, and I'm ready for the whole mobile quarterback myth to be dispelled because I think it's stupid. And you just look at some of those plays, the fumble that turns into a touchback really cost them the game. You got the Lamar throws into triple coverage, and, every troll on Twitter is going to be pointing to that until next year, until the Super Bowl next year, and they're never going to let him leave that down. But it didn't have to be such dire circumstances anyway. They kind of sputtered out of the gate, and they just continued to shoot themselves in the foot. And that's where, like, you look at, in contrast, the Kansas City Chiefs, you can tell that they've been there and they've done that. This is not their first rodeo, and they were more poised. And they always throw away that term, discipline, throwing that around. Well, you talk about the more disciplined team. It was quite simply the Chiefs. They didn't make any mistakes. And on FooTube, FOUX tube, I had a Foo and Friends the other day. We previewed the game. And I did pick the Ravens to win, but I said it's going to come down to what team makes the mistakes.
Yeah.
I thought Mahomes was going to make the mistakes because he had 14 interceptions to Lamar's 7. But, when the lights are at their brightest, that's when Mahomes shines,
Man, no, you're absolutely right. Poise, it felt like, they had been there before. It's that championship DNA that you really can't teach. You either have it or you don't. And we saw them on the road in unfamiliar territory. 2 straight road wins for Mahomes and those guys. They overcame the 2 holding calls. They had a touchdown call back as well. And they just kept chugging along. For me, man, I've kind of been down on Travis Kelce this season, and it's nothing to do with the Taylor Swift situation. It's fun to mention that and, tie it in just because it's there. And, but it's been a down year for him. And just through this playoffs, especially today, it felt like he took today's matchup personal.
I mean, it's just crazy how much Mahomes trusts him. And you always see it in the biggest games. We put a little parlay together. We're talking betting props, and I was ready to hammer, receptions and yards. You never know how a touchdown goes, but he gets that touchdown, and it's just kind of one of those greatest of all time duos. It's right up there. He passed Jerry Rice's mark today for was it playoff yards or receptions? I think receptions. Yeah, and so he passes Jerry Rice, and at this point, like, he's in that conversation with Mahomes and Kelce as Rice and Montana.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like the best in the league, but one of the best duos of all time. And my big takeaway from that game is just like we're witnessing a dynasty. To go to
Yeah.
4 Super Bowls in 5 years is just unbelievable, and it's Brady-ish, and it's
Yeah.
crazy because Brady just walked out the room,
Hmm.
and Mahomes, he's carrying that torch as far as like he's going to be making a case. They keep doing this, they're going to be talking about Mahomes and his argument for greatest quarterback of all time. So we're in the middle, I feel like, because it's been going a while, but I feel like we're in the middle of something just extraordinary and special. And I don't quite want to say dynasty quite yet, but if they win the Super Bowl this year, I'm using the D word.
Yeah, I mean it's back to back, and you don't see that like nowadays, man. We haven't seen that in quite some time, since Brady and those guys. But yeah, looking at it, how they're built, and this is the best defense they've had
Oh,
since Mahomes has been there. Like they're out there making plays, they're flying around, they're physical, and they blitz the entire game. I mean, they blitz Lamar Jackson to death out there. And I mean, it was weird to me. I know it's easy to kind of watch the game and say, well, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? But with Harbaugh and that staff, like they have a really good staff and they've made adjustments throughout the year. But today we did not see the adjustments. We didn't see the slants. We didn't see enough dump offs. It's like they kept getting blitzed, but they kept looking to air it down the field as that was happening.
I mean, they really got it together in the second half, that's for sure. But like, come on, what did I think it was 67 yards or something in the first half
Mm-hmm.
for Lamar passing. And then, like I said, just kind of shot themselves in the foot because, like, I mean, because I do think they adjusted well enough to move the dang ball in the
Yeah.
second half, but you got to cross the goal line, man.
That
I mean,
second half play, that's what you're going. I mean, that's what it comes back to, that Zay Flowers. And I feel for the kid, man, a
yeah,
rookie who has had a hell of a season, who's been the wide receiver number one for those guys, who's, etched his name in that rookie of the year running. Like, he's had
yeah.
a great year and he goes out there and makes an exceptional play, gets
And then
called for the taunting.
that sequence, man,
Yeah.
like it's that whole
Yeah.
sequence, like three just absolute like displays of immaturity. And I hate to even say it, but I gotta call it what it is. Like, see, the first part is the taunting.
Yeah.
He shoves the guy back on the ground. He stands over him, and so they're not on the 5. But then it's like, oh, he's going to redeem himself. He gets into the end zone. But unbelievable knockout there. Uh,
Yeah. No, that was
Unreal.
insane, man. Like that secondary has been making plays all year.
Yeah, and
And
L'Jarius Sneed, like,
yeah.
my goodness, is he playing on a different planet right now? That was the play of the game. Like, he
Mhm.
gets the game ball for me. Even like, obviously
Right.
Mahomes is incredible, but like that literally sealed the deal to get that punch out. And that, I guess that's not necessarily immaturity, but it's just like a veteran finds a way to protect that ball, maybe,
Yeah.
and then he
Yeah.
punches the bench and cuts his hand,
Hmm.
and it's just like stuff like that. Well, the Chiefs aren't doing it. You
Right.
know,
No, I mean, yeah, I feel for him. And I know, like, even with the targeting call, like, the dude had his ankle, he pushed him off. Then, like, standing over him and spinning the football, that it's not the XFL, it's not the USFL. Like they're gonna call that, and it just stinks because that was just such a play he made, and it seemed like every time they were knocking on the doorstep on the stairway to heaven, they either shot themselves in the foot or the Chiefs make a play. That interception, the fumble that Lamar lost, throwing in the triple coverage. I'm not really sure what he was looking at there. I think there was a pass interference, but
and
also
I thought
like
about that too, but I
yeah,
feel like the reason the ref didn't call the PI is because
yeah.
that's getting picked anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the
It
thing.
it
Like,
didn't
it's
interfere with the catchability of the football. Like, he
right.
got tackled out there, but like the ball wasn't catchable because it was getting caught by one of the other 3
Yeah, it
defenders
was
or
terrible,
2
man.
defenders.
I mean, he didn't really get a chance to make a play on the ball. The ball was not going to be a touchdown regardless, I think. I mean, I don't want to assume we could play what ifs all day. It just wasn't a good read
Yeah,
anyway. It's like triple
yeah.
coverage, that's just not the throw you want to make. And then looking at Harbaugh, looking at the Ravens, man, this just felt like this was their year, like they were a team of destiny.
Yeah, yeah.
And they get it snatched away.
Well, the defense, like on paper, lined up so well with the
Hmm.
Chiefs, and the defense did a really good job,
They
you
did
know?
17 points the
Yeah.
whole game.
If
What
you
more can
hold
you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's really it's on the offense, you know? Like you talk about Kelsey obviously got his, but they still did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
And like Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen and some clutch sacks, like they
Yeah,
kept them
Kyle
in the
Hamilton,
game.
very, very good game out there too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just like and Kyle Hamilton, man,
Mm-hmm.
like you had the perfect personnel to like whether even if it's the 49ers or the Lions, right? Like you have the personnel to win the Super Bowl, to beat
Right.
the Chiefs and then win the Super Bowl because you just got guys who can extraordinary pass coverage and the guys to bring the heat like Michael Pierce. Good Lord, how are you going to stop that man? 350 pounds of him coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I mean, I guess I'm just still in shock because I feel like the game should be in overtime right
I
now.
mean, it feels like the Ravens literally beat themselves. Like the Chiefs
Yeah,
didn't do anything super extraordinary. It was just like they were more poised, like you
just didn't make
said.
mistakes, you know, just didn't make mistakes.
And we see that poise, that championship DNA. It feels like they escaped with a win, you know. But to me, it's just weird because this feels like the year that the Chiefs are gonna lose. Like this feels like the year that the AFC caught up to them. And you know, we're looking at all these teams, the
Yeah,
Bills, the Ravens, and it's like, well, it feels like this is also the most dangerous they may have been in the last couple of years because they're just finding ways to win, man.
I think the difference is just that dang defense, man. I
Yeah.
mean, Drew Tranquil, talk about a what turned out to be a massive
Home run.
pickup.
Home
Yeah.
run.
And it's not like he's the best guy on that defense. Like obviously, you know, getting Chris Jones back is
Yeah.
the big hit, you know.
Right.
But I mean, like you said, it's a home run signing to bring in like just such a versatile linebacker. And then, you know, like I said, L'Jarius Sneed playing out of his mind, And this George Karafalitis, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that exactly right, but they're just,
Yeah.
you know, play after play.
Dude, I'm telling you, man,
Bringing the heat.
Justin Reed, McDuffie out there, like they just have playmakers everywhere.
And Spagnola,
Yeah.
he's calling a brilliant game, and that's I think what makes it even scarier is like some of those Chiefs teams in the past. It was like they would kind of give you that Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts treatment, where they're just going
Hmm.
to outscore you, and you
Right.
know that the defense isn't even that good, but like they legitimately like it is the best defense Mahomes had for sure,
Hands
and
down.
it's an elite defense just overall.
Yeah, and I mean that's what the Ravens and even the Bucks back in the day, they've made trademarks. We've seen that, like even with the Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning, we've seen like you can win a championship with a mediocre offense, like if your defense
Yeah. Oh,
is,
that
you
last
know,
year with Peyton Manning was bad offense. Like
yeah, they
people
were
don't want to ever
terrible,
talk
man.
about it, but he got benched for the human giraffe.
Yeah, Mr. Osweiler.
Yeah, yeah. Kalispell, Montana's very own.
Oh man, pride and joy up there.
All 6'8" of him. The
Hey,
good thing about him, because he could see over the line well.
yeah, he was a big fella, man. But like you said, we've seen where you can win championships with an elite defense, and Mahomes obviously much more than a game manager. But looking ahead, like as far as the Lions and the 49ers, I think that's going to be another one of those like physical knockdown, drag out games. Who do you think the Chiefs match up better with?
Ooh, I mean, I'd say that they match up better with the Lions, just because the Lions they kind of get killed sometimes through the air. Like
Hmm.
they gave up over 300 yards. Obviously, you know, like right now that game's going on, but you know, they gave up 300 plus to Mayfield.
Yeah.
And so, you know, both playoff matches, and they've had a hard time. Like Jordan Love absolutely
Oh, shredded
torched
him.
them on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day. And you just look at like San Francisco. San Francisco's the better team on paper too than like the Lions, and I don't think it's that close. Like San Francisco's the legitimate all-star team on
Absolutely.
offense and defense. But with what they could like on paper, the Chiefs should be able to like Mahomes should pass for 420 yards
Right.
against the Lions secondary. So
Yeah, no,
I feel like,
absolutely, man. I think so. Like the Lions are physical, they're young. I think they're still that kind of like, we're just happy to be here. But they are athletic defense as well in their own right. They've got playmakers out there.
oh, for sure.
You
And
know,
they're not a bad defense. They're a punch in the mouth, like, football team overall.
yeah,
They're going to give
yeah.
you problems. And I love Aiden Hutchison.
He's a monster, man. They're physical. Anzalone, they got the young guy Jack Campbell out there.
Love Campbell. The
Yeah,
problem.
man. Yeah. So I mean, I like the Lions. I think obviously, the 49ers are the tougher matchup. They're looking like a super team, but they still have to get past the Lions.
They got to get past the Lions. The scary thing about the Lions is they're just kind of like the ultimate underdog, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's
And
like
there's
you got
something
nothing to lose.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like when you got nothing to lose and it kind of feels like you're playing on house money, it takes so much of the pressure off. And when you think about that matchup, whoever wins, who's got more pressure on them? The
Mhm.
49ers. And it's not even a little close.
Right.
Like you said, it's like the Lions got to be happy to be here. This is the best Lions team. No matter what happens, Detroit fans are going to talk about this team for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it kind of reminds me of the couple teams before the Cubs finally won the World Series,
Mhm.
where Chicago Cubs fans, and I lived on the north side of the Chicago during this time, but the energy started to really change, and there was a just different kind of belief
Mhm.
because the Lions and the Cubs, it's very similar where it was every once in a while they'd have a good team or they'd be okay for a few years, but like
Right.
usually they were the joke. They called the Cubs the lovable losers most of my life,
Mhm.
and it's just now recently they've kind of shedded that, but they are at this transcendent time for this franchise where they are starting to seriously shake that,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people can't talk about like Dan Campbell. Forget coach of the year. Give this man a Nobel Prize. Like he's
Yeah.
changing the sports world right now.
Yeah, he's definitely changing the culture in Detroit too, man. And I mean, I think everybody in Detroit, if you meet people from Detroit, they are all in on Detroit. And I know you being from Chicago are familiar with Detroit too, just that whole Midwest area. So, they're coming in absolutely thinking they can win this game. And the
Oh yeah.
Lions won't be surprised. That fan base won't be surprised if they win.
I mean they think they can beat anybody in the world and they love the disrespect.
Mhm.
Like and you watch the clips of Dan Campball and he just makes you want to do a bunch of push-ups and start,
Yeah, run through a
punching,
wall, man.
yeah, just
Just
running through
headbutt
walls
something.
and punching things. Just like, yeah, I got to go hit something,
Yeah.
Like, he's just contagious motivator.
Yeah, he's a dude, man. You can tell. Like, I bet those practices are insane. Like, they're very intense.
Yeah,
Just thinking about it, man. But as far as like the Ravens kind of touching on them and closing this chapter on them, just moving forward, keep everything intact, give it a go again next year. You know, do we see them get back to this number one seed? Is
I
this
think
gonna
so.
be like the standard for Lamar now as far as like his performance and what we saw?
I mean, like most quarterbacks, because how old is Lamar?
I
Off the
think
top of
he's
your head?
I think he's like 26.
Yeah, I feel like he's just not that old. I'm look up for sure.
Yeah, let's fact check that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 27 years old.
Okay.
I mean,
So
you
yeah,
look at
he's
some of the goats, like you look at what Tom Brady and some of these guys started to do, like when they turned 30 years old. I'm gonna pull up his football reference,
yeah.
but like, and I know I brought this up in recordings with you in the past, but
Mhm.
John Elway, he stunk early
Yeah.
in his career, and so now, yeah, I just pulled up Tom
I
Brady.
mean, he had like a second career at 30, Brady.
I mean, he went from like, oh, this guy was really good to like, wow, like because he was 30 years old. He had his 50 touchdown season. The year before, he was 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. The year before that, 26 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 28 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. And you look at Lamar and I don't, obviously it's kind of like apples and oranges. They aren't even similar quarterbacks, but like the point I'm trying to make is quarterbacks get better. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the great cornerbacks start to kind of turn that corner. at about that age. And the fact that he's only 27 and he's still kind of approaching his athletic prime, he's only going to get smarter out there.
Right.
And, just 2 years in a row, just 7 interceptions. Like the guy doesn't turn the ball over. He ran for like 800 and a half rushing yards. He like, and like I kind of touched on earlier, here's the thing about the whole mobile quarterback discussion. It's like, it's stupid. It's just stupid. Like, if you're good at running, it doesn't make you less good at throwing. And there's some people who are good at both.
I mean, it gets looked at like a weakness sometimes that you're athletic and not like a strength.
And you know what? Like, you know what drives me nuts, man? People don't talk about Steve Young.
It's true dual threat, man. That's why I kind of like when you were talking about breaking that mold, like that stereotype of the dual threat. And I thought about Steve Young, like like he kind of did that, and then we've seen like the Warren Moons, the Randall Cunninghams, we've seen guys be dual threats throughout the years, and now we're seeing it with like the Josh. It's kind of like, man, even with all the younger quarterbacks, you kind of got to be able to move somewhat right now.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not like Steve Young's Lamar Jackson. Like his best rushing season was 1992, 537 yards. But like the point I'm making is this is a quarterback who won Super Bowls, and was the best player on his team, was a mobile quarterback.
Right.
So like Steve Young, like he actually, I remember because I did a book report on Steve Young in 3rd grade. So I got random Steve Young knowledge still. Thank you, Lucy Ledford. Shout out Miss Ledford. But he had to go through the USFL. He got cut by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like the guy eventually, gets in the 3-way QB race with and winds up taking the job from Joe Montana. Like
right.
I just don't want to hear anyone talking about like, oh, Lamar's a running back. It's like, give me a break. How many like MVPs does this quarterback have to win before we stop calling him a running back?
Yeah, man.
I want to dispel all the hate proactively because like I know the noise is going to be on Twitter, and it's like, the guy's already earned his respect. He's absolutely right there. He's one of the best athletes in the world, playing the hardest position in professional sports. And man, he had a bad throw at the end of the game there, but he also did everything he needed to do for the Ravens to win that game.
Yeah.
Zay Flowers is able to cross the plane there.
We're in OT. We're in OT, man. He dropped it. I mean, 2 just back-to-back amazing throws that he made. He's under pressure. He's running around. He's I think he's arguably one of the most, maybe the most disrespected MVP. I've never heard of anybody winning MVP in the NFL and being told they need to switch positions.
Yeah, this was insane.
It's insane, man. It's insane. As far as this, I think Lamar continues to build on that legacy. Like you said, he's only 27. He's gonna take most of the blame for this loss, and I think he's the type of player that's gonna use this as fuel and come back even better next year.
I think they gotta continue to aggressively put the right pieces around him. Like Zay Flowers, a great get. Rashad Bateman was really nice for him. I think OBJ has found a home for where he can finish out his career.
Yeah.
You already have a really good fullback. You have a really good offensive line. The defense is, you could make a case, best defense in the NFL.
And I think too, man, when Keaton Mitchell comes back, like that's going to be another dynamic in that running back. Like,
that's a really good point.
Yeah, they got to get those running backs back. But yeah, I think they come back more explosive, man.
I think they got to go after Derrick Henry.
I'd like y'all to. I'd like to see him in Chicago.
Well, either one. And what's similar is like a power running back with a really fast quarterback.
Yeah.
In the changeup kind of that can provide. But if I am the Baltimore Ravens and I'm trying to win a Super Bowl, obviously that's the name of the game.
Right.
You go after Derrick Henry, and that's the guy who wants to win a championship anyway. And so I'm going to just call it now. Ravens are getting Derrick Henry.
Jeez. And we didn't really see Dalvin Cook today. I thought he would kind of be more involved. That was surprising to me, seeing,
that guy just fell off the end of the earth, man.
I mean, we're covering him just 2 years ago.
And he was good.
He was a top 10 running back, maybe top 5 running back, like just killing it with the Vikings. A year later, they don't pay him. they obviously missed him. Ryan Madison, they thought was the guy. He is not the guy.
Or Alexander Madison.
Yeah,
I was
Alexander
telling
Madison. I
people
always get his name. Alexander Madison. Yeah, man, he's just not the guy. And then, yeah, we see Dalvin Cook, like you said, fall off a cliff within like 18 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Woof, man. Woof.
I tell
Yeah,
you, man.
they're so close. Like they're absolutely one of the best 4 teams in the NFL, and they don't have to do much at all with their roster.
Right. I agree, man. I think that trade getting Roquan Smith from you guys was just major. He's brought like that Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs energy to that defense again. So I love what I'm seeing, and we'll keep following this team as well as, the biggest storylines in the NFL that's going on. We got another game coming up as well. So we'll definitely touch on the Super Bowl preview next Sunday. Adam, let them know where to find you at on social media, my guy.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, Fargo Foo. That's Foux. You can read it probably on the bottom of your screen, as in Chalifoux. I also just started my own YouTube, FooTube. I've been running a lot of Foo and Friends, which is I'm gonna have to have you on ASAP. Probably. Maybe we do a little Scooby-Doo meets Batman crossover.
Let's do it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mostly talk Bears so far and some NFL, talk about these matchups. Got some really fun stuff planned for the Super Bowl. We're even going to talk about food. And so
big time, big snacks.
Yeah. And I know you're a big cooker too.
Yes, sir.
Not just with the parlays. So
you already know. You already know. Shout out Breezy's Kitchen, baby.
Exactly. So there's 2 other guys I was wanted to talk some cooking with, but I'll have to have you on. The point is, we talk about anything on Foo and Friends. So yeah, give it a subscribe, and I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate anyone who's already joined after you having me on last week.
Absolutely, man. Definitely make sure to go get my guys subscribed, go follow, all that good stuff. And speaking of last week, for all the Chicago Bear fans, we do have a dope interview out where me and Adam are just breaking down potential offseason moves, draft picks, and what the Bears need to do to get back on track in this make or break offseason for Chicago. So definitely go check that out. A lot of insight, and we'll keep following them up until the draft as well. But that's a wrap for us. Until next time, we out.